Welcome back to Bleeding Blue. This is a show where my great friend Snacks and we talk about the history of this great franchise, about the New York Football Giants. Snacks, you are one of my best friends. You're with me as always. How are you doing today? I'm going to interrupt you and I'm going to say I'm miserable because my allergies are getting to me. I didn't even step foot outside today, and of course, the day that I don't step foot outside is when my allergies get to me. Because I have a theory that the AC causes more allergies than pollen, even though it's probably wrong. How are you?
Yeah, you're 100% wrong. I don't think that's an actual fact based on science, but regardless, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a doctor. But yeah, I'm doing great. And yes, you are one of my best friends as well. So, you said you give me a minute, so I'll take a minute. As you guys can see on the YouTube, if you're on the podcast, whatnot, I am drenched in New York Knicks gear right now, and a team that was pegged by Vegas to win 23 games this year is now a 40-win team and the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have home court at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, the toughest arena in sports. That is the toughest place to play. I don't give a fuck who you are. That is the toughest place to play in sports, and we got him. We have the MVP, the Coach of the Year, Most Improved Player. We have 2 Sixth Men of the Year. They're going to share the award. We have the Executive of the Year. We have everything. Justin, how did the 2007 New York Giants really win their Super Bowl? Grit, defense, hard work.
Good coaching.
There's only one team in the NBA that has all those checked off. They have all of it checked off. That's all they have. All of it checked off. So the New York Knicks are back.
Yep, the Knicks are back.
Anyway, we digress.
If they win a playoff series, are they no longer back? Or are they just here? Will that be the point?
See, I love you so. You're the only person that has ever brought this point up, and I know we talked about it. If they win a playoff series, ask me them. I really don't know right now.
It's just a day-by-day feel basis.
It's a day by day.
They could lose, as everybody sees. I'm really schwitzing under the pits. If you're on the YouTube crowd, you get to see it. If you're on the podcast app, sorry. Because they could lose the game and then they can win and then they're back.
Right. But are they not back until they win a championship? Like,
I don't know.
What's the end game?
We'll see.
You're right. This is not a New York Knicks history podcast.
No, and if you're anything like Mets fans, then you'll celebrate second place like you're in first place. So
goddamn right, Justin. That is such a great point by you. The Mets fan base is the most delusional, moronic fan base I have ever met in my life, and I know Dallas fans.
And the Jets too. They
besides
celebrate.
Besides them, at least the Mets have had some sort of relevancy in the last 6 years. They went to a World Series that lost to the fucking Royals, by the way. The Royals. But the Mets and their fans are the worst fan base ever. I hate them. It's May, and they were celebrating a 7-game winning streak like it's the fucking World Series.
Whoa.
No, fuck them. I hate the Mets, and I hate their fucking fans. And I never hated the Mets. Never did until I logged onto Twitter, and I created a Twitter account. They are the dumbest fucking people ever. Sorry, go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
So you talked about the preseason odds for the New York Knickerbockers.
I did.
I love listening to Steve Summers. The New York Knickerbockers, the New York Metropolitans are the greatest baseball team to ever grace planet Earth.
It's a phenomenal impression.
Yeah, thank you. So the New York Football Giants, their preseason odds heading into the 2007 season, I already told you this before the show, so it's not like I can ask you it and then quiz you. During your initial guesses, you were pretty good, though, so I have to give you credit. Out of 32 football teams in 2007, the Giants' preseason odds, they were the 15th highest team, most likely team to win the Super Bowl, preseason betting odds in Vegas, plus 3,000, and their over-under for wins that year was 8. So congratulations if you bet the Giants to have over 8 wins. And congratulations if you bet the Giants to win the Super Bowl because you won a lot of money.
It's funny because that's a middle of the pack team. They're literally picking what? 13, 14, 8 wins, 8-8. That's exactly what Vegas thought. They're a mediocre team. They're not great. They're not bad. They can win 8 games. And sure enough, team of destiny. So
how many games are there in the NBA regular season? I thought there were 82.
This year was 72.
Because
yes, normally, yes, it was shortened, but normally it is 82. Yes.
Okay, so they picked them to win 20 something games. Okay.
22
So
and a half.
that's not a middle of the pack team. You can't even compare the Knicks to the Giants.
No, that's a lottery team.
Vegas was projecting the Knicks to be awful.
Awful. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And they're the 4th seed.
Good for the Knicks.
Thank you, Justin.
But moral of the story, you cannot compare the 2021 Knicks to the 2007 Giants. Can't.
Correct.
2007
Unless
Giants
they win.
2007 Giants were better. Better in every regard.
You know I agree, so I don't want to talk about it. But you know what I also agree on. Actually, I don't even know why I said you know what else I agree on.
You wanted to have some sort of transition, so I'm gonna do it for you.
Thank you, because I could not transition it. I was trying to, but I couldn't. That's why you're the pro.
So here's what we did last week. This is not my first rodeo, Snacks.
This ain't my first rodeo, cowboy.
Here's what we did last week. What we talked about last week was the last 3 games of the regular season of the 2007 season. Patriots game included, which is one of the best regular season games of franchise history.
Well, you called it the greatest. Sorry. You called it the greatest.
That was my hot take at the end of last show. You can't give too many hot takes to start the show or else people are going to log off.
I thought it was your best take, actually. But anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. So what we're going to attempt to do today is we're going to talk some Super Bowl 42 run. Tom Coughlin's perspective from the Super Bowl 42 run. A team to believe in. We're going to finish this book. We're going to attempt to move on from this book. We're going to talk about this Tampa Bay game kind of in depth because this is a game that we have not touched on in the podcast in the past. Glance over the Dallas Cowboy game because just fuck Jerry Jones, fuck him, Tony Romo, everybody like that. Everybody knows about that game. And then we already talked about the Packer game and Super Bowl 42, the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl early in the offseason. So if you want to hear some of our bigger thoughts on that, going like 10 to 15 minutes and all into that, you can go back to early in the offseason when we talk about the Super Bowls and the NFC Championship games. So we're going to talk about these games a little bit, Tom Coughlin's perspective, and then Tom Coughlin's like big lineup, kind of like reflection of the 2007 season. Then we're going to get on out of here.
Yeah, we're going to finally get rid of this book because we know you all hate it.
Yeah, so here's what we'll say. Like, speaking from hindsight, now that you've read it, I mean, I love Tom Coughlin and I love hearing Tom Coughlin's perspective on things. I enjoyed the first part of the book more than I have enjoyed his thoughts like during the course of the regular season. I enjoyed hearing about his transformation. I enjoyed hearing about his philosophy, but it was kind of just like coach talk for the rest of it, like during the season. Correct. And all that stuff. Oh my God, do you hear my voice? Not really things that we couldn't get from like America's Game or something like that. Exactly.
And you hit the nail on the head where in the beginning, when he was talking about the change and everything like that and early in training camp and from the 2006 season, that was the book at its best. And sure enough, that's in the beginning. So we appreciate you guys sticking with us for this, but Justin's right. No, we have never talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneer game, the wildcard game that seemingly everybody forgot about because you don't win that game. You don't go to Dallas on a road and you definitely don't go to Green Bay and you definitely don't beat the 18-0 Patriots. So let's talk about the Tampa Bay game. What do you say?
What do you think the line was heading into this game?
3.5.
3. -3. So it was basically even.
Right. You're playing a neutral field. That's an even game. They give 3 points to the home team always, which I don't understand. But regardless,
it's a good home field advantage mattered back then, but there is compelling data. I'm going to be very interested to see now that there's fans back in the stands this year. 2019, it was basically 50-50. So you were actually seeing, and Vegas odds bettors, they know this. So
they know everything.
Yeah, they know everything even before it happens. So besides the Giants winning the Super Bowl 2007, but neither here nor there. I'm going to be interested to see how the odds change this year. I don't think the home teams are not just going to be given 3 points anymore. They shouldn't be given 3 points anymore because home field advantage has like dwindled over the last really the last decade.
Yeah.
So,
Now, is it home field like the fans are loud, or is it like a travel thing?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, you could
maybe
see it.
both combined, kind of.
You can obviously see it at MetLife because you don't have the Giants fans that were going to the games for decades and decades and decades and
Right.
that would actually try to give the Giants a home field advantage. Those fans aren't going to the games anymore. It's, oh, I'm going to bring my little Johnny to his first game and we're just going to have a good time. Or you're a fan of an opposing team and it's like, oh, the freaking, the Chargers are in the area, or this year it'll be the Rams. The LA Rams are in the area, and I'm a fan, and I'm just gonna go. Or the Raiders, so I'm gonna go. So that's what MetLife Stadium has turned to. But that's not just you would think that would be like just a MetLife problem with the PSLs, but it's not. So neither here nor there. Tampa Bay.
Yep. Regardless, we go to Tampa Bay, and it really was a forgotten game, and I know you remember where you were watching that game. I remember where I was watching that game. And so Coughlin talks about it's funny. He talks about Tampa more in depth, like on the back end of things more than he did Dallas, Green Bay, and New England, because like we were saying before the show, he loses that game. There's no guarantee he comes back. That was a must-win game, regardless of what, making the playoffs or not 3 years in a row. Everybody hated him. The media hated him, whatnot. So, all right. So he says we have two themes heading into the Tampa Bay game, quote unquote, road warriors and let's keep playing, end quote, alluding to the fact that we are having fun and playing football well and don't want it to end with a loss. Tampa Bay finished the regular season 9-7, but remember, they rested their starters the last two games. So we talked before we went on the air, and I said to you, I think Coughlin, I think the football guy inside of him was very salty that John Gruden rested his players for 2 straight weeks. You don't see it. That's abnormal.
Yeah. And especially after John Madden left that voicemail to Tom Coughlin after that week 17 game against Patriots. And not only did John Madden thank him for playing his starters, like, because John Madden appreciated it, he's like, the game of football needed that kind of game and that kind of effort by your team. So I think Coughlin, I'm sure took that personally to play his starters before the game happened, but then even after the game happened, like that, because of the effort that his team and he put forward, that became like momentum. We talk about momentum all the time. Yeah. That became momentum for that football team because they gave their best foot forward in a game that really technically did not mean anything.
Correct. And you want to talk about momentum too? You want to talk about momentum? You want to talk about motivation?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a Giants running back who wore number 21 for a long time.
Not familiar.
I'm not familiar either. Apparently he's a scumbag and a quitter and a loser and a fuck boy. Oh. Fuck him. Anyway.
Do you know what you just call him a fuck boy? Do you know what a fuck boy is?
I have no idea what it is.
I don't think that's not accurate for this situation.
No.
Like for example, right now you look like a fuck boy with your backwards.
Like I look like a Chad in college.
Yeah, with your backwards hat. Yeah,
you're right. Well, I'm learning. All right, I'm a boomer. But anyway, Ronde Barber, who I believe should be a Hall of Famer because he was a phenomenal defensive back, gave the Giants some motivation right off the rip without Coughlin even trying to find something. I'm sure Coughlin looked at every book, at every website, everything to try and find something. But you know what? Ronde Barber did it for them. So it was easy. And I'll read it. Ronde Barber, Tampa Bay's all-pro corner and Tiki's twin brother, stokes the pregame fire a bit with this quote. Of course we want to play the Giants. They win ugly, Shockey's hurt, and Eli has been inconsistent. The New York papers see it as trash talk, but our players don't bark back in the media. After all, this team knows our motto: talk is cheap, play the game. So, are you for a team that is run by a guy that literally looks through the sewer for a motivational quote? they have a guy literally just barking up their ass doing it.
The Barbers also really just always find a way to put their foot in their mouth. That's what I took from that.
You know, they always find a fucking microphone, that's for sure.
Oh,
fucking assholes.
All right, but I mean that's like Coughlin has always tried to find, like, you said the clip, the quote. There's even something from Pat Riley.
There is something from Pat Riley,
which I don't quite understand.
I really don't either, to be honest.
All right, well let's talk about it.
Okay. Actually, there's two things from Pat Riley. And it's funny. I'm glad we redid this because I missed the first one. A person's greatest fear is the fear of extinction. But the worst thing is extinction and insignificance.
I like that.
That's a good one by Pat Riley. The first good one. You don't like the second one, but that's a good one.
No, because that actually is true. So a person's worst fear
powerful.
Is extinction, but like a worst fear is being basically insignificant.
Right, exactly. Would you rather?
You want to know who really probably took that to heart? Michael Strahan.
Ooh.
Because you want to know what? He had this great he would have been a Hall of Famer without this Super Bowl run.
Correct.
He had a great Hall of Fame career, but he retires, and he wouldn't be insignificant to Giants fans, but he is not in the same allure if he does not cap off his Super Bowl, if he does not cap off his career with Super Bowl. I don't even know if he is this media megastar that he is without this Super Bowl, this Super Bowl run. So that's really, and he wouldn't be insignificant, but he kind of would if he wasn't this media mega superstar, and if he didn't have the Super Bowl, he kind of would be in his retired career. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I never really thought of it like that. I think he'd still have a good career because he's charismatic and everything, and he was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he would be on Fox. Without a doubt,
right.
He would be like on Fox.
He would always be on
Sunday.
that, but like Good Morning America and everything is on. Yeah.
Kelly and Michael, no.
Yeah, hot ass Kelly Ripa. I know. That's a lot. Like, you don't give that job to Joe Schmo. You're allowed to announce Super Bowl champion Michael Strahan.
Mm-hmm.
That rings different than just Hall of Famer Michael Strahan. Because most of these guys always say, I'd rather win a Super Bowl than go to the Hall of Fame. And I mean, if I were a professional athlete, I would say the same fucking thing. But yeah, no, it's a great point.
What's the second quote?
Yes, the second quote. I was just about to say that, you fucking asshole. Momentum, power of one, collective will. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's just a collection of words. That's what I think.
It's because you don't know philosophy like I do.
No, well, and also I don't know philosophy like Pat Riley. I mean, Pat Riley and Ben McAdoo are the two leading leaders of philosophical thinking in sports, but their hair gelled back. Nobody gets how impactful Frazier, the sex crazed lion, is. Nobody gets that.
We did talk about that sex crazed lion though.
Good for him.
Yeah, right. Ben McAdoo, what a
life.
What a fucking loser. Anyway, so yeah, we beat Tampa Bay in 24-14, and I think, you know what's funny to me? You know how much I hate the Giants, as much as I love them.
Sure.
Like, I don't hate them, but like I always expect the worst, always.
Sure.
No matter what happens, I always expect the worst. So I remember being like 15 years old and I'm watching that game and I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking to myself, Jeff Garcia, Tampa Bay, they won 9 games. I'm like, we should beat the shit out of this team. And I remember thinking that. Like, I didn't think about that about Dallas or Green Bay because those were two really good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tampa Bay, we should beat the shit out of them. And no, we just controlled the clock and ate everything up, which is fine. We still beat them soundly. But it's weird to me thinking back on it. Like, that might be one of the few games I'm like, okay, we should really take care of this team.
I don't like the idea of beating the crap out of a team in the playoffs if it's not the Super Bowl, because then you're riding too high and you're feeling too confident. I don't like it. So
Well, that's why they always kept it
perfect.
close.
This was a perfect game. Eli was really efficient. That Tampa Bay defense was really good, and Tom Coughlin talks about that.
Yes, you're right. And that was his biggest point of emphasis because Tampa Bay, surprisingly, we just talked about Ronde Barber before, but they had the number one pass defense in the league that year. And, Coughlin talks about their game plan revolved around running the ball, chewing the clock, everything like that. But Eli went 20 to 27 for 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Justin, what's the most important part?
Monty Toomer touchdown catch.
Okay. Well, I was going to say no turnovers, but yes, that's important too. So Eli did not turn it over. They were able to move the ball through the air, which Coughlin, obviously always thought they could, but like it's when you're talking about it like that, you don't think that's your best course of action. So close to 200 yards through the air against the number one pass defense, you probably get some more confidence after that.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like that's like, again, momentum kind of builder. Like, okay, we could do this. We did it against them. We could do, who can't we do it against?
Yep. And they did it against New England the week before too, and Eli looked really good. And 1 sack, 8 yards. Sean O'Hara was out this game. Who was starting at center?
Gray Rugemer. And what's funny? Gray Rugemer had literally had gray hair. I'm not even kidding. Pull a picture of him up, please.
I'll pull a picture up.
Yeah. Gray Rugemer had gray hair when he was 23 years old. Kind of epic, if you ask me. That's a man.
So Eli only had 1 sack for 8 yards, but he was barely hit. Now, Jeff Garcia only took 1 sack for about 5 yards, but he was hit 11 times. I know Michael Strahan had 3 quarterback hits. Osi Umenyiora had 2 quarterback hits. Fred Robbins had another one. Barry Cofield, and even friend of the program, Dave Tollefson, had a QB hit. So even though Jeff Garcia was only sacked once, Giants' bread and butter this game was, controlling the clock. Eli Manning being efficient. Monty Toomer had 7 catches, 7 targets, 74 yards. And just hitting the crap out of Jeff Garcia, and even shutting down old friend Ike Hilliard.
That's right. I forgot Ike was on that team. Great bag call right there, Justin.
That's the Tampa game. Anything else that you have from Tom Coughlin?
No, that's really it. That's really it. And then obviously we went on to beat Dallas and Green Bay. And then who the fuck did we beat that year?
I don't know. Slips my mind.
I know they won like 18 games
in a row
and didn't lose any of them. Yeah. Fuck, I can't remember their name. Fuck them. Anyway,
I love Tom Brady. Did you see
Tom
I know.
Brady?
I was just
gonna bring that up.
This is a good. Just gonna bring
that up.
First of all, let's just wrap up the Dallas game really quick.
That's right.
Jerry Jones is an asshole. I want to go back to Tom Brady, so we'll put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is an asshole for buying his team tickets to the NFC Championship game, which, I mean, they just do it to themselves. Every year they do it to themselves. Jason Garrett, just having Jason Garrett as your coach and having that shitty offensive system, you do it to yourself. Well, I say that he, in the same breath that I say Jason Garrett has a shitty system, he is our current offensive coordinator. Yes, I know that. Anyway, they do it to themselves every year. Again, Tom Coughlin naturally just having motivational impetuses. That's a word. Impetus is a word, but I made it plural. Having motivational impetuses just right on your lap. He doesn't have to do anything more besides, hey, this team thinks that we're shit. Go out and prove them wrong. That's the coaching for the week, along with game plan and stuff like that. And then Tony Romo going on the boat trip 1.0 before the famous Giants boat trip with, I will say, I give Tony Romo a little bit more slack than our boat trip because it's different when you have, number one, it's a bye week and you're going on a boat trip with the boys. And then number two, it's not Jessica Simpson.
Yeah. Who's really a very good looking woman.
Yeah. Still is, which is remarkable. She got to be pushing in her 40s now, no? That music video of these boots were made for walking. You ever see that?
Have I ever seen it?
Yeah.
My fucking bed has seen it a lot of times too.
Well, all right, that's too much. We didn't need that.
What do you mean?
Your bed.
Oh, did I get too personal?
That was a little too personal. Yeah.
That's for the chat, not for anybody else. But
wasn't as bad as that one time you felt your balls live on air.
That needed to be done.
Yeah, because what did I say? The left one was lower than the right one. Then he had to check.
Yeah, and I checked right away.
And you didn't need to go to do further investigation because the left one did hang lower than the right one. All right,
correct.
All right, so Tom, let's Tom Brady conversation, and then Tom Coughlin's overall reflection thoughts on the season, and then we're done with this book.
Yes, there's a couple things from Tom Coughlin afterwards. No, I'm saying there's a couple things afterwards of Coughlin I want to just touch on, and then we can be done. But Tom Brady, yes, go ahead.
So he said this week, I don't know what prompted him to say this.
I don't either. Do we ever get context behind it?
No, I mean, it was probably an interview, and what happens is the newspapers take a quote out of a long interview, and then that's what gets people talking, and then that's what gets people to click on the article. That's what happened. So Tom Brady said that Giants fans should love me because that's the only team I was never able to beat. I do love that we do live in his head rent free. I am picking that up. I love it, and I do love Tom Brady. I love him. He the New England Patriots and Tom Brady provided me two of the best days of my life, and I will be rooting for him as long as the Giants are insignificant. I will be rooting for Tom Brady to win as many Super Bowl championships as possible because that makes Eli Manning look so much better.
Correct. Everything that you just said, I couldn't agree with more, and I hate agreeing with you. I think Tom said, like, Giants fans shouldn't hate me. They should love me.
Yeah.
And there is, well, you didn't say they shouldn't hate me, so that's why I said that. Well, maybe he did, regardless. But you're right. I love Tom Brady. Love him. That guy, like you said, was on the other end of our two biggest wins ever. It was bigger than the Super Bowl against the Bills, bigger against the Super Bowl against the Broncos. That's the greatest football dynasty ever, and we beat him. We beat him twice, Justin, twice. He can't beat us. Why would any Giant fan not like Tom Brady?
I don't see the reason why. I mean,
it makes no sense.
Like, who fucking cares if they had a camera watching the Philadelphia Eagles practice in 2005? Fuck the Eagles. I hope they lose.
Right.
Screw them. If Tom Brady deflated footballs, fine. Like, you could cheat and you could do anything you want. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I don't know who said that. I think it might have came from NASCAR. I think Richard Petty might have said it. Is that true?
Richard Petty or Pete Rose, one or the other.
Yeah. I actually need to look. I'm going to look this up. But really, they could have cheated. They could have had the playbook to Kevin Gilbride's offense that game. And they didn't beat us. They did not beat us.
No, they didn't. And the fact you're like me. I rooted for Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like you said, the more Tom wins, the better Eli and the Giants look. So why would I not root for whoever Tom Brady plays for forever?
It was Richard Petty. I was right.
It was Richard Petty. Good for you. So it wasn't Pete Rose.
I am a NASCAR fan, so I should.
You are a NASCAR fan. You should have known that without looking it up. No offense.
Well, I did know it. I just needed to confirm.
Fair.
How many times on this show have I said something is 100% true, and then I have to give like the whole like list of like credits at the start of the next show saying all the things that I was wrong with for the stat corrections. Like this is a CNN like a fucking CNN debate show. These are the things that Justin.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. Oh. It's a very fair point. And just the fact that he brings it up rent free is 100% true, by the way.
I feel like that's a cliche. I feel like it's a cliche saying, and a lot of the times, like, you know, we're kind of somewhat lower prominent people online, Snacks. And I love how people with, you know, that they're just people online, right? And they don't have their face for a profile picture, and they have you know, especially if this is a Washington fan, they have fucking Taylor Heineke as their profile picture. They'll comment on one of my posts, or even the Bleeding Blue account. They'll be like, "Oh, rent free." Like I hate that phrase.
So do I.
But it kind of is true for Brady based off of some of the hints that he's dropped of how salty he is that he lost those 2 games, as he should, and he's a competitor. We give Tom Brady the credit for being like one of the best competitors of all time and the best winners of all time. And the only time that he lost was to us. Sucks. Sucks to suck.
It's true. It's true. And well, he did lose to Philly, so we got to throw it in there because
No. That doesn't count.
We don't
Doesn't count in his head. He apparently he does.
Clearly
not.
Salty by it. That's where I was going to. He doesn't care because our doofus ass motherfucking team beat him twice. He's never gonna get over it. Never. How hard do you think he celebrated beating the Giants on Monday Night Football with the Bucs this past year? When the Giants should have beat them by 10 plus.
Yeah, there was a 2-point conversion that Daniel Jones just missed.
Yeah, he missed every fucking throw. It's the worst game I've ever watched Daniel Jones play in my life. But do you want to wrap up with a few quick thoughts from Tom Coughlin?
Yeah.
And then
so
we could sign off on this book.
We win the NFC Championship game. We win the Super Bowl. Giants are victorious. We're back on top. The Giants are back.
Yep, the Knicks are back.
And how does Tom Coughlin kind of reflect on this season after it's over?
Yeah, it's great because he has some bullet points that really kind of like emphasize everything. And I love the fact that his first bullet point is the fact that Jeff Fiegels has been in the NFL for 20 years and almost walked away after 2005 made this season even more special for him. Jeff's story is just one of many. The punter. Yep. Remember that? The punter. Who was very good. But he goes on, he does little tidbits about how did we go from being the brunt of harsh words and jokes to being on top of the football world. Our players maintained a great attitude. There was no finger pointing, no blaming others. There was only support, especially when times were tough. We brought in talented new staff members, which I love too. I love coaching staffs. Love it. Steve Spagnuolo, Chris Palmer, Thomas McGarry, Sean Ryan, and we elevated people such as Kevin Gilbride and Tom Quinn, which if Will's listening, we don't like Tom Quinn.
Actually, you know what? I aspire to be like Tom Quinn.
Why? Do everything bad and still get paid?
Oh, still find a way to survive 4 different coaching staffs and just he's got to have something on the Mariners or something. Just like Jason Garrett has to have something. I guess Tom Quinn and Jason Garrett both have something in on the Mariners. They're both sharing the same MP4 file of something inappropriate on
Tom Quinn.
Not even Maris. It's got to be Tish.
Ooh, wow. That's a hot take. Not Maris, Tish.
Uh-huh.
Well, if it's Kate Mara's nudes, then I'm going to need
that doesn't count because she's already shown the trying to think of the British crumpets. Nope, that's not it.
She got nudes?
Well, I've watched the TV show A Teacher on FX, and she's shown the
Kate Mara's in it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
Do you understand? I've been in love with that girl since I was like fucking 8 years old.
Yeah, she showed the tatas a couple times on that show.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you gotta watch it now. It's called A Teacher. It's on FX.
Oh my god! I just restarted. Hulu. I just restarted The Sopranos. I got a new show now.
It's very short. It's 1 season. Was not that good.
I don't care. Don't even give me the plot. I don't care.
I don't want to.
Oh my god. Okay, let me get through this because I want to go watch that.
We gotta go.
Yeah. You think? So we saw significant on-field performances on defense, offense, and special teams too. Blah 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 blah. Let's jump. I want to read one last point, and I think this is probably a good ending. So lastly, yes, you could probably add my changes to the list. So throughout our discussions, Justin, on Bleeding Blue, we talked about his change being the number one factor of everything. My willingness to open up a bit to allow myself and those around me to enjoy the game of football. I didn't change my values. I just added some compassion to the passion. And that might be my favorite line ever. I believe that by opening up and letting the players see me as I really am, I helped construct a better sense of team unity. And for all of that, I give credit to Judy, his wife, who we have talked about, who finds a way to teach me everything I need to know. And I think that last part really rings true for everything. I think that sums up everything that we have talked about in this book. Just that team does nothing unless Coughlin isn't a dictator anymore. He changed his complete ways, and the first year he did it, they won a Super Bowl. Everybody knew he knew how to coach football. There was never an argument. Like Tom Coughlin knew football. He knew how to coach it. But the players never didn't respond to it. And if the players don't respond to it, maybe they don't get up on a Sunday at 1:00 and get ready to play. Maybe they're not staying hydrated all week or eating a good diet, whatever the case is. But he made it personal. And he showed them his great side, his grandfather's side that his family loves. And that made that was the difference of that Giants year. Because I'm sorry, you put another coach on that 2007 Giants team, I don't think they win the Super Bowl. Okay, I don't even know if they make the playoffs. That's how much I firmly believe that Tom Coughlin's influence and what he did on that team and how he installed his new mantra with that team changed everything. And you can't get me to change my mind. That I truly believe he did it all. Nobody does that. The guy went from almost being fired to changing who he is as a man and as a coach to treating his players in a different light. And then everything switched. Everything switched. So that's my rant. And that's our Tom Coughlin review.
Team to believe in.
Team to believe in.
All right. We close the book on one story. I think that's a good way to say that. We close the story on one book, or we close the book on one story? What's the correct way to say that?
I think it's the latter. Say it again.
We close the book on one story. The story on one book.
Story on one book.
We close the story on one book.
Definitely.
And now we will open up a new book relatively soon. I don't know if it's Jerry Eisenberg's No Medals for Trying yet. We're going to have some interviews. We're going to have some fun, various different episodes coming up. Snacks, I had the idea today. I want to do a rewatchable soon.
Oh, yeah?
Usually don't like them, but I want to do one.
I'm so down. You know I'm down.
I
love that. You know I love that shit.
I want to have the input of our social media followers.
Okay.
And I want them to pick a game, a full version game that's online, that's on YouTube, from the 80s. Either one of the years that I preferably from 1986.
Yeah. It should be a year they won the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to start with 1986. Won't be Hostetler playing, it'll be Sims, and I want to watch a Sims game, and I want to choose one of the 1986 regular season games that is on YouTube. Have some people choose, and then that will be a game that we do a rewatchable. We'll do that within the next couple weeks.
I am so down for that. And like we said in the summer, for you 80s and 70s and 80s and 90s fans, we're coming for you. We don't forget about you.
Yeah, no, I want to warm up. I want to start warming up.
I love that.
Getting a little bit more familiar and having some people come on talking about the older Giants, and maybe not necessarily always just 80s. We may have some interviews that are planned up that are still talking about the 90s and the early 2000s Giants. So kind of phasing away from the 2007, 2011 Giants for a hot sec. And as we close the story on Tom Coughlin's book, A Team to Believe in, we head and forge forward for other things for Bleeding Blue. So Snacks, that is it. We will see everybody next week. Keep on Bleeding Blue. We love you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And Snacks.
Fuck Tiki Barber.